On a chilly autumn morning in the heart of the city, a young man named Daniel walked into a crowded coffee shop, the kind of place where tired workers grabbed their caffeine fix before rushing off to long shifts and students studied while dreaming of a brighter tomorrow. And although Daniel himself didn't have much, working 2 part-time jobs, studying late into the night, and trying to scrape enough money together to cover rent and tuition, he always carried a heart that believed in kindness, and it was that kindness that would soon lead him into a story he could never have imagined, because sitting at the corner of the cafe, with her perfectly tailored coat, elegant presence, and a look of quiet exhaustion in her eyes, was a woman who appeared to be just another customer, though in reality, she was Amelia Grant, the CEO of a multi-million-dollar corporation, who had secretly slipped away from her towering glass office building. Just a few blocks away, desperate to feel like an ordinary human being if only for a few stolen moments. She had come to this cafe with no assistants, no drivers, no gold cards, and no entourage, wanting to sip her coffee like any other person, but fate had a strange twist waiting for her. When she reached into her designer handbag to pay for her coffee and croissant, her sleek black card was declined, and though her fortune stretched far beyond what anyone in that cafe could imagine, a technical glitch had frozen her account. The line grew restless, the barista looked awkward, and murmurs began to rise, but before embarrassment could fully swallow her, Daniel stepped forward, offering a simple smile and a quiet, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it." He slid a few crumpled bills across the counter, paid for her order without hesitation, and walked away as though it was the most natural thing in the world, never knowing he had just shown kindness to a woman who could buy the entire cafe 10 times over. Amelia's heart fluttered in that instant, not because she needed the money, far from it, but because kindness without expectation was rare in her world, where most people bowed to her wealth and power, and she found herself curious about the young men who had stepped in for her so selflessly. She carried her tray and quietly sat near him, striking up a conversation with a gentle, "You didn't have to do that, you know," and Daniel, with his easygoing honesty, simply replied, "It was just coffee." Anyone would have done the same. But she knew not everyone would have. There was a warmth in his tone, an authenticity that made her want to linger, so they spoke for longer than either expected, about books, about dreams, about the way the city sometimes swallowed hope and yet gave people reasons to keep pushing. He spoke about his struggle, how his mother raised him alone, how he was studying to build a better life, and though he avoided self-pity, Amelia could read between the lines of hardship. Something about his resilience touched her. And something about her quiet way of listening drew him in too, though Daniel still had no idea who she truly was. As the morning wore on and she prepared to leave, she slipped her card back into her bag, knowing she could have revealed her identity at any moment, but something held her back, perhaps the rare feeling of being seen not as a CEO, but as a woman. That night, as Daniel returned to his tiny apartment and Amelia rode back to her skyscraper office, they both thought of that unexpected encounter, though from very different worlds. Days turned into weeks, and Amelia found herself returning to the cafe more often, dressed down, blending in, always hoping she might see Daniel again, and one crisp morning, she did. He was buried in his laptop, textbook stacked high, exhaustion written across his face, and once again, she approached with that same gentle smile, offering him coffee this time as repayment. It became their routine. 2 people from different worlds colliding in that little corner cafe, laughing, sharing stories, encouraging one another. Daniel had no clue she was a millionaire CEO whose name appeared in financial magazines, and Amelia loved it that way. For the first time in years, she felt human, unjudged, free to laugh without the weight of titles. But life has a way of revealing truths. One evening, after weeks of friendship, Amelia invited Daniel to a charity gala, pretending she simply had an extra ticket. Daniel, though reluctant because he had Northwest tuxedo and no place among the rich, accepted after Amelia's insistence. When he walked into the grand ballroom, his jaw nearly dropped at the chandeliers, the glittering gowns, and the way Amelia transformed in her rightful world. The whispers around him, the way staff deferred to her, the realization that she wasn't just anyone, all of it came crashing down. She was Amelia Grant, the CEO who owned half the companies in the city. Daniel felt small, embarrassed even, thinking back to the day he paid for her coffee with a few crumpled bills, and he wondered if she had been laughing at him all along. But Amelia saw the look in his eyes and quickly took his hand, whispering, "Don't you dare pull away. That day, you reminded me of something no one else could, what kindness looks like when it expects nothing in return." Her words melted the insecurity in his chest, and as the evening went on, she made sure to introduce him proudly, not as someone beneath her, but as someone who mattered. That night changed Daniel's life. Amelia offered him an internship at her company, not out of pity, but because she saw his sharp mind, his ideas, his drive, and she wanted to invest in him the way he had unknowingly invested in her spirit that morning in the cafe. Together, they built not just a professional bond, but a friendship, and perhaps, slowly, something more. Their story became a living reminder that the smallest gestures can ripple into life-changing moments, that kindness can bridge the widest gap between worlds, and that sometimes the richest people aren't those with millions in their accounts, but those willing to give even when they have little. So, dear listener, if this story touched your heart, if you believe in the power of kindness and the magic of unexpected encounters, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, because here we share stories that remind us of hope, humanity, and the truth that you never know whose life you might change with even the simplest act.